Uchu in Aguata local government area of Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. She was a Nigerian singer, composer, and actress. Nelly started singing at an early age. She later joined Professor Sunny Oti's music group under where her talent flourished. Her music career shot to limelight in 1976 when Homzy Sound released her debut LP composition, Love Wantinti. Thereafter, hits like Waka, Akabueze, and Mama Hauser further established her place in the Nigerian music industry. She traversed genres, including Igbo highlife, pop, and gospel music. She died on 12th of April 2005 in a hospital in Enugu State, Nigeria, after a reported cancer-related illness. She was aged 55. Salawa Abeni was born on May 5, 1961. She hails from Ekpe, division of Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. At the young age of 8, Salawa found her niche in Waka music. Waka music is an Islamic-oriented Yoruba musical genre. It was popularized by Alaja Batile Alake, in whose worthy steps Salawa Abeni dutifully followed. She was crowned Queen of Waka music by the Alafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, in 1992. Her debut album, titled Late General Murtala Ramat Mohammed, in 1976, was released on the Leader Records label. It became the first recording by a female Yoruba artist to sell over 1 million albums in Nigeria. Her music is a combination of talking drums, conga, saxophone, and keyboards, amongst other instruments. She has performed in and outside the country and has released up to 12 albums during her music career. Christy Uduak Esienigbokwe was born on 11th of November 1960 in Okat Ona, Akwa Ibom State. She was a celebrated Nigerian musician and actress. Christy was 12 years old when her mother died. Her mother's friend in Aba, Abia State, took her in. She encouraged Christy to develop her singing. She even bought her a second-hand cassette recorder to tape her songs. With time, Christy became known as Nigeria's Lady of Songs. Her greatest hits include Sheonrere, Tete Nla, Ife, Hear the Call, and Give Me a Chance. She was the first female president of the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, PMAN, and the chairwoman and managing director of Soul Train Entertainment. She was fluent in many Nigerian languages, including Igbo, Ibibio, Efik, Hausa, Yoruba, and English. This made it easy for her to cross tribal limitations by singing in any language she desired. Her epic Shorere broke all language barriers. Whilst Akwa Ibom's Min is regarded as the unofficial anthem of Akwa Ibom State, such was her impact across the country that whatever language she used, her message evoked emotion and reflection. Onyekanwenu was born on the 31st of January 1952 in a small town in Imo State, but she grew up in Port Harcourt. She's a singer, a songwriter, actress, activist, journalist, and politician. The Nigerian press nicknamed her the Elegant Stallion. She released her debut album, From the Love of You, in 1981 while working with the Nigerian Television Authority. The album featured an orchestral cover of Johnny Nash's Hold Me Tight. Her second album, Endless Life, was produced by Sonny Okosun. Both were released on the EMI Records.
One love set you free. One love keep us together. Living in a world, it's a struggle to stay alive. One love.
Originally a secular artist, Owenu made the transition to gospel music in the 90s, and most of her songs are self-penned. She describes her music as African pop. This consists of highlife, Afrobeat, blues, jazz, Igbo spiritual, and even juju, a typical Yoruba beat. She continues to write and sing about issues like health, HIV, peace, mutual coexistence, respect for human rights, the plight of children, as well as pride in oneself.
The People's Democratic Party and other opposition parties have lamented the level of insecurity in Nigeria. And Muslim rights concern rejects Governor Sanwo-Olu's endorsement for a second term. This is Plus Politics, and I'm Kofi Bartels. You're welcome. The People's Democratic Party and two other opposition parties have lamented the rising insecurity in the country, which has caused the death of 12,250 citizens between January 2021 and March 2022, according to a report compiled by a research group, SB Morgan, and an advocacy network, Enough is Enough Nigeria. 6,102 civilians were killed within the period, while 1,055 security personnel were also killed. Now, further breakdown shows that 571 of those killed were soldiers, 307 police officers, and 193 vigilante members. Very grim statistics, but joining us to discuss this is public affairs analyst Ihechukwu Ibeji. I'm glad to say he joins us live in the studio. Mr. Ibeji, good evening to you. Thanks for your time.
Good evening, and thank you very much.
These are really grim statistics, I mean, it should send a shiver down the spine of anyone.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
It does send shivers down the spine of everyone, and especially given the fact that there seems not to be any actual head-on manner in which it can be handled, or it can be managed, or it can be nipped in the bud. Loss of life everywhere is something that is taken very weightily. It's not an easy thing, and what's even more frightening is the fact that it progressively over time, and it's not something that started today or in this dispensation. It's something that far, of course, has outstayed this dispensation. It has progressively become more sophisticated, so to speak. These are not mean figures, and there's no lighter way of saying it than to say that the situation is just horrible.
All right, because this is Plus Politics, we always look at the political angle of things. But as far as the People's Democratic Party is concerned, and the statements they're making, not just the PDP, but two other opposition parties lamenting the rising insecurity in the country, is this political fodder, political hay, for the PDP at such a time?
Absolutely. You see that one of the nexus of one of the key points, objectives for this current dispensation, which they used to come into power, was to guarantee security and to nip in the bud the insecurity that had been fostering right from the previous administration that they met on ground. So every political party at this point, especially as we advance towards the 2023 elections, will begin to use this as a campaign, strategy to see how they can also win votes. But I like to, of course, I like to deviate a lot of times away from the mere politics of these numbers, because we're talking about lives and property of people. The value of livelihood, the value of life itself, and the quality of life has so diminished, and these deaths that are being, these wanton killings that are going on, are not just anything you can politicize so easily. So away from them coming out to try to use these figures to campaign and all of that, you must look at the psychological and the actual situation on ground. And then the actual situation on ground is not something that you can just wave away. So yes, a lot of political parties, and I mean this is just one part of it, are going to use this as part of their manifesto. Of course, what you're going to find is that this current dispensation will be on the slab of the judgment of the people, and the politicians and the political parties are going to milk it. And if you look at this kind of figures, this is more or less like a performance leaderboard for them, and this performance leaderboard doesn't really do good.
Interesting.
It doesn't really do good.
Whilst the statistics cannot be argued with, whilst the numbers cannot be argued with, should Nigerians also be cognizant, or bear in mind that before you remove the speck from your neighbor's eye, you need to clear the one off your eye as well, and take the criticism, the statements of these political parties with some caution. Look behind the scenes, and also realize that this is also political milk for them.
Absolutely. Look. Let me say this so clearly, and let me say this. There's no better way to say it, and we only, as a people, be deceiving ourselves if we don't tell ourselves the truth. The insecurity challenges that any administration, this current administration faces, is not a little one. It's not a small one. Apparently, when they were probably campaigning to come into power, they must have looked at it from the rhetorics and looked at it from the plans, looked at it from the grammar and the objectives. But what you find on ground is totally different, because insecurity is not something that you can just wish away or tackle away. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you that, look, any political party that's going to use this as a campaign chip must be ready to show that it can tackle. If for nothing else, the current administration have had the experience of actually facing the actual insecurity, and they've seen for themselves how not very easy it is. And it's not to say that they've not made effort. To be quite frank, it will only be foolhardy to come out and say that they've not made effort. They have made effort, but it is one thing to make effort, and it's also another thing to see those efforts, of course, tail into success. They have had their successes, and at the same time, they've had their failures in this area of insecurity. And I'm sure that genuinely they will continue to try to see what they can do, but they have to keep trying to do more and more, because once a life goes, it can never be gotten back. All right.
Interesting and very important, rather. Once a life goes, it can never be gotten back. Once again, we'll try and bring up more political juice out of this. It's the People's Democratic Party itself. Do they have a moral justification to judge the APC on this? I'm not talking about Nigerians, so the party itself. What do you say?
As dispassionately as I would like to always remain in everything I say, or anything, every time I come out to comment, I don't think they have any moral justification.
Well, why would you say so?
Because they also had an opportunity to tackle the same security challenge when they were in power. Right, and why they may say that the records show that it was less compared to now, the truth of the case was that it still remained there. That insecurity challenge still remained there, and it actually started to fester as at that time. We started to experience a lot of insecurity as at the last PDP led, when they were in power. We started to experience what was called, from different angles. We experienced the Niger Delta militancy. We experienced the Boko Haram attacks. We began to experience a bit of kidnapping with ransom, attached to it. And since 2011, there's been a source that speaks to us having paid over $18 million in ransom alone, and ransoms are being charged of between $1,000 and $15,000.
These are ransom paid by families.
Yes, by families. And these are things that we started to experience not from this current dispensation. So they will have to be faced with the moral justification to convince the people that what they did before, by not being able to nip it in the bud then, nip it in the bud in such a manner that this current dispensation used it as a campaign chip to come into power. They are able to, get a magic wand to do that same thing at that time. And that's something that they are faced with at this current time.
The elections, the general elections are around the corner. The political scene is heated up as we speak. And Nigerians will soon have to make a choice between, which political parties of the 18 available as from INEC, and that will be on the ballot paper if all things go according to plan.
Yeah.
Or, we can't be too sure in these days.
Yeah.
But Nigerians will have to make a choice.
Yes.
Now, are you confident that the voting public is aware of the issues, and aware enough to be able to say, hey, All Progressives Congress, presidential election, these are the issues or problems you have? At least I'm a voter in Kaduna State. I'm a voter in Borno State. I'm a voter in Benue State. You have failed as far as insecurity is concerned. I will not vote for you. Or tell me what you're going to do better before I vote for you. Or, hey, PDP, when you were there, we still had these issues and you didn't even make it any better. Boko Haram came up while you held sway. So what are you going to do? Do we have the voters who, have such an awareness to ask these questions and in an informed way vote?
Let me be very sincere to you and point blank. I see a situation whereby the voting public are going to be looking at the individual, not entirely about the party. Now, the party brings forth the individual, but the integrity, the composure, the track record of the individual is going to sway a lot. And let's be very clear. None of the parties have really done themselves a whole world of good when it comes to the major issues on ground, such as insecurity. None of the parties.
But what about when it comes to the presidential election, where you have just one man and then a flag bearer, a running mate rather? Are you confident that Nigerians can look at the track record of these parties and based on the track record say, I will vote for you because you give me a reason to vote for you, or because you have failed and I don't believe you can do any better?
Nigerians will speak with the PVC. And they speak with their PVCs based on the failures of any party that fields a candidate that is not attractive to the people. That is not accepted by the people.
There's a school of thought. I've had a chance to talk to some, of your fellow public affairs analysts. They say nothing is going to change. The people are not aware enough or independently minded enough to make the hard decisions to say, APC, this candidate presenting us, we think we're going to vote for him because we think he can solve the security. He's convinced us. Or APC, we won't vote for you. Or PDP, we will vote for you, we won't vote based on ABC. We're talking about security or insecurity, as the case may be. There's a school of thought that says nothing will change. It's going to be business as usual because we're not ready to change anything.
I've heard that school of thought too. In fact, I've been in conversations as a public analyst, experienced public affairs analyst over time to have arguments and discussions about that. But I kind of feel differently. Maybe I'm one of those who are not part of the 12 disciples. Maybe I'm one of those who are outside the 12. Maybe you can say 13. But in all the years that we've ever had elections, this is one election that's so important because these 7 years have seen Nigerians in a different level.
But we're talking. I also present the program on radio as well as on TV. I hear people commenting on social media. People are talking, but we are still talking. And it seems nothing will change.
Do you remember?
We're just going to get to the point, and the usual is still going to emerge. And we'll all just go and vote, and things are just going to continue. Nothing will change.
Most of the time, I like to say, let's wait for when the action happens. But what I like to also tell you is that the people showed their hands during the end SARS issue. The passion.
After that, what happened?
Well, after that, it is all bottled up. It's not
How?
bottled up
How?
because you cannot head them off. You cannot head them off the polling votes. They are going to walk down to the polling vote, whether you like it or not. Have you ever been to the polling vote? I voted in almost every other election. And how fiercely they guard their votes at those polling votes and count it is very key. So you need to understand something that you cannot, and what I'm trying to tell you is that you cannot wish away. You cannot wish away the determination of the people.
We keep talking about NSARS, and I mean, a lot of people were happy to see that the young people were rising up to speak with their voices at NSARS. But I mean, right now, the message that has been passed is that you fire some bullets. You know, I don't mean to trivialize the massacres the panel has rightly called it. You know, I don't mean to downplay, but the message that has been clearly passed is that the people will run back to their shells, you know, if you fire some gunshots. Now, I had been in Port Harcourt before coming to Lagos, and you have people who are listening or watching us right now in Port Harcourt. They can tell you the election times when the major parties brought out their boys or brought out people in uniforms, God knows where they're coming from, with weapons, the voting public ran back home. Nobody came out to vote. Nobody came out to vote.
If the politician and the political parties do not think or they believe that it's going to be business as usual, then they should not campaign.
They will campaign, but
no, they shouldn't campaign.
But nothing is, people are just going to say, you know what, I don't feel safe enough to go vote because I'm in the southeast, I'm going to stay at home. I don't feel safe enough to vote because I'm in the northwest and northeast or middle belt, they're going to stay at home.
It's going to be affected in certain
someone's
areas.
Going to say, oh, I'm seeing 1 million boys, I'm seeing NURTD or some other group on the street with machetes in Lagos, they're chasing people away, I'm not going to vote. Oh, the police are looking the other way, they're not doing anything, I'm not going to vote. People have not demonstrated the fact that they will not back down even if lives are lost. And that is the message that has been transmitted to those who are ready to do anything.
This pattern has been on for years, as I said before. Lives have been lost before now. Yeah. People have tried to show some kind of apathy that they will not vote when the time is there. But let me be very, very clear and certain to you. The will of the people is strong. You cannot wave it aside.
Let's look at the NSARS anniversary. Okay. We have the NSARS anniversary, and people wanted to march to mark the anniversary, and the police commissioner Hakeem Odumosu, who supervised the police actions during NSARS, and was given an honorary an award by the Lagos State House of Assembly after that, or before that, I need to check. Yeah, after that, when he was leaving. And now with this Lagos State Traffic or Motor Parks Union that MC Oluomo of ESWA NURTW, or the ESWA NURTW chairman, has now been placed in charge, they're now fighting with other factions or other groups. He was also made a part of that. Thank you. Clapping for him. Well done. Now, the man said no protest would be allowed on the anniversary of NSARS. And the protesters and the young people and old people alike all obeyed. They sat in their cars and they drove past the Lekki Toll. Nobody came down. The few managed to come down, they were arrested. Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. Nothing will change.
You missed the point. The point wasn't that people were going to protest. The point was that they were going to mark the memorial. And as long as they were concerned, they passed that message.
Okay.
Whether they were in their car, honking on their horns, whether they waved the flags, whether they drove past with speed, yet they came out. And that, to me, showed a will.
What about...
You cannot wave aside the fact that, look, NSARS transcended the young or the youth.
Absolutely.
It was a strong message
Absolutely.
of people who had come out and said, look, this is our feeling, this is how we felt. And that message was strong. And anybody who's going to trivialize that message, or who's going to trivialize the fact that the will of the people is something that you cannot step on, then that person may just be taking them for granted.
All right.
I know that the political parties will not take the people for granted.
So we have a large number of people in Nigeria. Last election, over 80 million voters. And we know that from 1999 or from 2003, I need to check, the number of voters, registered voters who turn up on election day has been dropping. We have the highest number of registered voters in the 2019 presidential election, and we had the lowest voter turnout in the 2019 elections of all the years since 1999. You look at voter apathy, it's an issue. It's an issue. And you're telling me that people are going to come out, irrespective of whether they feel it's safe to do so, irrespective of whether they feel there's a reason that their votes will count.
Let me put it this way. There has always been cases of voter apathy right from the days of SDP and RSC. You can never guarantee the total maximum of the voters will come out at the polling booths. But what does the winning of a vote translate to? It translates to the maximum total number of votes that are voted for the most popular party. And that is all that you need to take a look at. Even at the last local government elections, there was voter apathy. But at the end of the day, it was all about the party that came out to campaign even more vigorously.
So the parties that you've talked about, for instance, the PDP is pointing an accusing finger at the APC, saying you're responsible, insecure in the country, you've not done well and all that. Look at the stats. And you're saying that the PDP too also has to look at itself and ask itself questions. Have you seen any political party amongst the other 16 political parties that can give the two leading parties a run for their money?
To be quite frank,
because that is where, if you want to see a change, it may come from. May. I'm not saying you can have a change in the PDP or the APC. You can. But.
Another thing about winning elections is about party structure. I mean, you look at Nigeria as a country, as within the 6 geopolitical regions, the 774 local governments that it has, which of the parties has that structure on ground? And that's one of the reasons why I said to you, one of the major determinants for this next election will be the individual. The individual. Any of the parties, the two key parties who select that individual who the people believe in, and that the people... Hold on.
Okay.
The people are convinced
Okay.
that this is a person who can deliver for us, will sway their votes.
So have you seen anyone, and I'm going somewhere with this, have you seen any candidate that the people can believe in amongst all those who've come out to say, I want to, let's start from the People's Democratic Party, who can do something different amongst all those who've come out to pick forms, so to say, I intend to pick a form?
There are a lot of credible candidates who have come out of late.
Okay, so for instance, Peter Obi, is that who you're looking at? I don't know. I'm not campaigning for him. I'm just asking. Because people seem to, cast him in the same light as those technocrats and all that, like Kingsley Moghalu. They say he was governor of Anambra State and he left a healthy, account.
Yes, I mean, so let me tell you something. When the people begin to look at such candidates, and if you trace back, and then you make comparisons now, and they begin to make this kind of comparisons, begin to read out this kind of qualities about this kind of people, you see that their judgment, their mindset, they're making the kind of judgment for the kind of person that they think should suit Nigeria. It tells you who they don't want.
Okay,
it clearly tells you. It tells you clearly.
Yeah.
It clearly tells you the kind of person that they do not want.
So I think we can safely say. Let me edit what I said. You said I shouldn't say nothing will not change. You disagree with that. Okay. Why I said nothing will not change? Because no other party outside APC or PDP will produce the next president. It won't happen. From what I'm seeing, it won't happen. Now, these candidates that you're talking about, you have, because people are sitting there waiting for the election day to go vote. But the election is even won before the election, my brother. And people are sitting back saying, end south. So I want to ask you this. There is no way, or there's a high chance, let me say, a very limited chance. Do you agree with the school of thought? Let me put that way. There's a limited chance for an aspirant who doesn't bribe delegates to emerge, or doesn't do political horse trading to emerge as the party's flag bearer. In these two parties.
The mechanics of internal party politics,
especially in these two.
The mechanics of internal politics structure, of course, requires that the candidate has to do what is required to make sure that he comes out as a flag bearer. But what we see a lot of times is that even in doing that, the party mechanism always looks at the caliber. And in this state, the current party in power know that there are a lot of things, a lot of areas where the jury is out on them. And that's one of the reasons why you will find that eventually they are going to ensure that the kind of candidates who are going to come out eventually to run for that primaries are kind of candidates that will make it impossible for the Nigerian man not to at least accept one.
So you believe that the normal, or what we've seen in the past, what we've seen play out in the past in the presidential primaries of some parties, where it's about who has the money bag, who can pay the highest. I do admit, in 2015, Muhammadu Buhari said he didn't have money. All right, he didn't have money. I don't know if maybe Atiku had money then. I don't know. But yes, it can happen. But it takes some of the candidates that are being touted from the two leading parties. These sound like candidates who would not even pay one kobo because it's not their principle to do that.
Well,
do they have a chance?
Principles aside, as long as you're playing politics and you're a politician, you will do what is necessary to make sure that your target, your objective is gotten. Now, whatever is done in that internal politicking is what, you and I can only be left to be imagined. So even when they say that they do not have money or money bags to throw around, they still do what is required to come out as candidates.
All right.
Yes, I do agree with you that the two strongest parties on ground that who are even doing something currently are the APC and the PDP. And for now, that is the grim realities on ground. And that is what is going to remain unless another party comes out with the right form of candidates and the right form of structure to rival them. And that's just where it is.
What do Nigerians need to do, the voting public, what do they need to do right now, even before the elections, to ensure that as far as insecurity is concerned, the next president of Nigeria will be someone, male or female, who can tackle insecurity head on? I'm not talking about what we call bobo juice.
Yeah.
You come on TV and then you talk, and then meanwhile they just talk because people can look at your track record and see that you've not actually done what you say you want to do for Nigeria in the little office you've had. So what do Nigerians need to do starting now? So that by the end of the day, Mahmoud Yakubu announces the result, you have a president who can tackle insecurity head on.
They need to look very critically at all the candidates that are coming out, all the candidates that are claiming that they can deliver. They need to look at the number of people who have been killed since 2011. They need to look at the number of people who have been displaced. They need to look at the fringes on which this country is on, the number of refugees that have been rendered homeless. They need to look at the pervasive kidnapping that's continued. They need to look at the insecurity that has gone from not just Niger Delta militancy down to Boko Haram, down to the cattle harass issues, down to the kidnapping, down to the robbery. They need to look at all of these issues and look very critically at the experience of the candidates who are going to come out and ask themselves the kind of questions that speak to, can this person take the tough decisions? Because what is required is tough decisions. We hear a lot of stories when presidents go into power, and we hear things about them being bedraggled by kitchen cabinets. They need to look at people who cannot be bedraggled by kitchen cabinets. There are candidates who are out right now who have taken certain decisions at positions of power that tells you that these are the kind of people that can do something when the chips are down. And it's very important because, let me be very frank with you, the 2023 political election is going to be one of, if not the most important elections in the history of this country, because we are practically at our throes. In the last 7 years, I don't know, or I don't recall we've experienced the kind of situations that we experienced, so much so that the value of life is so devalued.
Right.
And these are the things that Nigerians need to look at when they make their choice.
Interesting. It's good that we've ended up running off on the note of what needs to be done, not what has happened in the past. Thank you very much, Ihechukwu Ibeji, for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And that's the much you can take on this first segment of the of Plus Politics, and we'll be right back. We'll take a short break. When we return, Murik rejects Governor Sanwo-Olu's endorsement or rejects the endorsement of Governor Sanwo-Olu for a second term. You're watching Plus Politics.
The call by the Southeast, or the entire South, as it were, is not misplaced. But if you are to compute the number of years that the North has held power from 1999 to this period that we are, 2022, you will discover that the South has held power even more, much as we are not looking at things from that perspective. Olusegun Obasanjo, that I told you in the beginning, had 8 years from 1999 to 2007. He was succeeded by President Yaradua, who was short-lived. After about 2 years to 3 years, we lost President Yaradua, and Goodluck Jonathan, another Southerner, continued until about 2015. Now, if you put this together, you will discover that the South has held on to power for an 11 or more years in the 15 years of the PDP.
What we have in this country is a campaign of deceit. People say what you cannot do. You can't give what you don't have. My dear, you can't give what you don't have. In the first place, let me say this to you, that as the campaign comes up, all you're going to hear different slogan. I will build road, I will do this, I will. Now, how will Nigeria trust you? And how will they trust them? With this track record, what you've never done in the past.
One thing that we must be grateful for is that under Dr. Bukola Saraki, the 8th Senate stood up to the failures of the Nigerian of the executive. We must be grateful for that. I'll give you another example. Never before done. When every time the executive came to the 8th Senate to say, give us an approval for a loan, he always said, the 8th Senate always said, show us how that money is going to be spent. Show us documents relating to that loan, evidence for the application of that funding. Show us how we're going to repay that. Show us documents. Show us a plan from taking the debt to repaying the debt. Show us a plan. And on 11 occasions, the executive refused to do so.
If you lose soup, you're gone. There are a lot of things to be hopeless about. But Awolowo taught us. He says, not life that matters, but the courage that you bring into it. So this country, like he said, when whether somebody is blind, whether you like Boa Mariwa or you don't like him, the truth was that when he has taken over now, we've seen an improved NDLA. It was like the late Mrs. the NAFDAC woman. When she took over, so when she's too started, there is a lie, it's a flash in the pan. But after she's gone, we didn't hear NAFDAC again like that. So there are still good people. And before even this Kyari that fell, busting this crime, busting that crime, although anybody with any fierce sense of introspection wonder there's something wrong with this call. To publicity, he would go and do an operation, he would put it on paper, put it on social media, he would take picture, and we'll be wondering, what kind of cop is this? But the truth of the matter is this: you can't afford to drown in hopelessness. In fact, for people like us, you just have to fight and regain and reclaim your country.
The law should and must apply to all and not some. I mean, our leaders can't keep picking and choosing the laws that they want to obey and the ones that they want to discard. I look forward to a time when accountability will be the watchword of Nigeria's leaders. Maybe then, just maybe then, Nigeria can truly work.
With regards to the electoral laws, well, I do not care too much about those laws as much as I care about the human resources that are going to conduct elections. And INEC, as it is presently composed, is made up of people who don't have the credibility to conduct free and fair elections.
Welcome back. An Islamic organization, the Muslim rights concern MURIC, has condemned the endorsement of the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for a second term, describing it as unfair and provocative. This was in reaction to last week's widely reported endorsement of a governor for a second term by the Governor's Advisory Council, a group in the All Progressives Congress ahead of the 2023 gubernatorial race. The Governor's Advisory Council is an apex decision-making organization of the APC in Lagos. Well, Director of the Muslim Rights Concern, Professor Ishaq Akintola, expressed the group's displeasure over the governor's second term endorsement in a statement he personally signed on Monday. MURIC maintained that the endorsement was in violation of a long-standing unwritten rule on rotational governance between Muslims and Christians in Lagos State. I'm glad to say joining us tonight to discuss this is Director of Muslim Rights Concern and the man who signed that statement, Professor Ishaq Akintola. Good evening to you, Prof. Thanks for your time.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Tell us about what zoning arrangement are you referring to as far as Lagos State is concerned?
Come again?
Yeah. What power rotation arrangement are you referring to in Lagos State?
Oh, well, you will recall that when former Governor Akinwumi Ambode was to come into office, when he was to become governor, the Christian Association of Nigeria, Lagos State chapter, actually came out boldly requesting that the next governor must be a Christian because a Muslim had spent 8 years. And of course, it was that was how Akinwumi Ambode became governor. And when he was vacating office, Governor Sanwo-Olu was brought in. Akinwumi Ambode has spent 4 years. Governor Sanwo-Olu is now concluding his 4 years. And of course, because Akinwumi Ambode was not allowed to come in for the second term in office, it was Sanwo-Olu that came to complete the second term. Well, naturally, one would expect that the next governor that will be running for the governorship in Lagos State will be a Muslim, because it's now a rotational thing, and of course that's a neat arrangement if we agree on that rotation. But surprisingly, last week, the stakeholders of the ruling party, the APC, just came up with this conclusion that they had endorsed Governor Sanwo-Olu for the second term. So we were pleasantly surprised, and we came together, and a lot of Muslims have been asking us, why wouldn't we say something about that? Why wouldn't we speak up for the Muslims? So, and that's the whole thing. Of course, you remember there is a rider there. We are saying, look, there is no hard and fast rule there. Even if Sanwo-Olu is going to run for the second term, which means Christians would then be in office for 12 years and not 8, then by the time Sanwo-Olu finishes his second term, a Muslim governor should come in and and the Muslims would also spend their own 12 years in office. Of course, in a democracy, we believe negotiations, dialogue, agreements should be reached. So we are expecting that even if they were going to announce Sanwo-Olu for second term, the Muslims should be, as stakeholders, major stakeholders in Lagos State, should be consulted. And that's what we are asking for. So if they insist Sanwo-Olu should spend his second term now, then there is no doubt about it. At the end of his second term, a Muslim must come in, spend 2 terms, and then another Muslim will come in to spend another 4 years, making 12 years to meet up with what the Christians have spent in office.
All right, Professor Ishaq Akintola, I'm sure you're aware that in the Governor's Advisory Council, the group which made this endorsement, which actually isn't binding on the All Progressives Congress, they have to meet to either ratify a consensus candidate or have a primary of a governorship primary involving different candidates. I'm sure you're very well aware that the Governor's Advisory Council is a mere group and that this group has a right to endorse who they feel should be endorsed. And this is not a statement of the party in Lagos State.
Oh, I'm not sure I had you correct.
Okay, I'll repeat myself, Prof. I'm saying I'm sure you're aware that the Governor's Advisory Council is simply a group. It's not a statutory organ of the All Progressives Congress. It's not a constitutionally recognized organ. It is just a group of individuals with common interests in the APC, and this is their private individual view that the governor of Lagos State has done well enough to deserve a second term, not the view of the party. So the party actually has not said anything about this.
That is when the APC, a political party, the ruling party, feels about the governor. We are not controverting that. We are not saying Sanwo-Olu has not performed. When the Christians demanded that a Christian must come on board, they didn't say Fashola did not perform. They didn't say the Muslim governor who was there did not perform. The issue is fairness, participatory democracy, inclusivity. There should be no group that will be excluded in decision making, in governance, and in the sharing of our common patrimony. That's what we are saying.
But Prof, the question
when the party is taking a decision,
yes.
When the party is taking a decision
Yeah.
about who should come on board, they should also consider the multicultural nature of our society.
Prof Akintola, I guess you didn't hear my question right, so I have to repeat it. I'm saying that this group called the Governor's Advisory Council of the All Progressives Congress, it's a private group. It is a group of individuals. It is not a statutory part or organ of the APC. It's just individuals who have their view, just like Muri can have its view. The party has not taken a decision to endorse anyone. The party can't even do that, except through consensus by which other aspirants must sign in writing that they also endorse the candidate. So the party really, in essence, hasn't taken a decision. And the group says that this is their private view, independent of the party.
If it is in the interest of the party, is it in the interest of the people of Lagos State? Are those individuals in that council, are they oblivious of the fact that there are Muslims and Christians in this country? When we take decisions, we should consider our environment. There are no hard and fast rules to this. You consider your environment, and whatever decision you are arriving at, they can consult anyone. Nobody stopped them from calling the Christians. Nobody stopped them from calling the Muslims. But to just say because they are in council and so they are taking decisions, that is balderdash. We want to be involved. Because it is our right
but
to
Prof,
be
you seem to be arrogating so much power to this Governors Advisory Council when they actually do not have any power than to campaign, than to say we support this person. That's all. The party has not said that they're going to endorse anybody, and I doubt the APC will endorse someone, except, of course, there's a consensus amongst all the candidates in writing, according to the Electoral Act.
We have to talk, we have to speak out now. We do not have to wait until somebody announces a primary. The whole world had it on radio, on television, and it was in the paper that Governor Sanwo-Olu has been endorsed by leaders of the party. So what else do you want to call primary? What else do you want to call the next decision? Why should the Muslims now wait for the final decision or whatever, the final name to be announced for primary? When leaders of the party have said they endorse Governor Sanwo-Olu.
All right, Prof. Seshaka Akintola, I'm sure you're aware. Are you not aware that the Governors Advisory Council, which is an independent group, not a statutory organ in the APC, is made up of members of the Islamic faith? We have several persons in that group. For instance, Senator. I'll just, in case you're not aware, Prof. In case you're not aware, let me help you by reading out the names.
Even if the council has members of the Islamic faith, that is not the way to consult Muslims of Lagos State.
Prof, maybe you do not believe me. Prof, can I just read out the names for you, sir? Sir, please let me read the names for you. We have Senator Oluremi Tinubu. She's there.
Your problem is when you ask questions now, you don't want me to give an answer.
No, Prof. In order for you to have context,
I am saying, can you listen to me?
All right,
Can
Prof.
you listen to me?
I'm listening to you, Prof.
What I'm saying is, even if members of the Islamic faith are in the council, in the governors' council, those are politicians, not people. These are not Muslims who have the interest of the Muslims of Lagos State at heart. They are not there in the council to represent the Muslims. Then the members of the council will need to reach out to the Muslim community of Lagos State, whose leader is Professor Tajuddin Badamasi. He knows what the Muslims want. The Muslims in the Governors' Council don't know what the Muslims of Lagos State want. Don't confuse us. We are saying this is what we want our own interests to be represented. You are saying some Muslims have represented us in the Governors' Council. Who knows them? We don't know them.
So Prof, are you saying? Yes. So Prof, are you saying an academic of your standing, of your years of experience, you prefer for the leadership of Lagos State
to take objection to that description.
Okay, I apologize. I apologize, sir. No offense intended. I apologize.
In the public space like this.
I apologize, Prof. I hold you in very high regard, Prof. I apologize. My apologies, sir.
I may be forced to call off the interview.
I apologize to you, sir. I apologize to you, sir. I'm just trying to put it in context, but I apologize.
It's no longer a friendly interview.
I apologize to you, sir. No offense intended, sir.
So abuse that for me.
No,
please,
sir.
I am calling it off. Call me another day, please.
Prof, are you there? Sincere apologies to you, Prof.
Call me another day.
Hello, Prof. Are you there? Sincere apologies to you. No offense intended. Okay. Are you there, Prof? All right. We seem to have lost him. We'll try and get back to him. I didn't mean any offense there. I may have crossed the line for him, but certainly on my part, I didn't see anything wrong in that. I may have been wrong, and for that, I've apologized. I will still try to get back to Prof on a personal note to say sorry to him. But I was going to ask him, as an academic, it would be expected that, he promotes an egalitarian society based on ideas, a society that is devoid of religious sentiments. This is the Nigeria we want to see, and Lagos State has been able to get to that point. Should he be dragging Lagos State back, or does he not see it as taking Lagos State back, when we're looking at voting on the basis of religion? Of course, you remember in 1992-93, Nigerians came out to vote a Muslim ticket. And those were the days in the country where it was more about the ideas and what you have for the people and how many votes you could garner, not whether you're Muslim or Christian. So I was about asking whether, as an academic, he feels that it's not against his own standing in society. But Prof, if you're watching, sincere apologies to you, sir. No offense was intended, and I will try personally to reach out to the Prof to apologize for me. You know my style. I'm always very fiery. But the members of the Governor's Advisory Council, according to reports, include the following persons. We have the senator representing the Lagos Central Senatorial District, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and her two colleagues in the Red Chamber, Solomon Adeola, Lagos West, and Tokumbo Abiru, Lagos East. You have the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. You have the current Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who himself is a Muslim. You have the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. You have the ex-Speaker Adeyemi Ikufo-Riji, former Deputy Governor Mrs. Idiat Oluranti Adebule, and others. You have the likes of Tajuddin Olusi, Prince Tajuddin Olusi. You have Henry Ajomale, former Lagos State APC chair. You have Prince Abiodo Ogunleye, ex-deputy to former Governor Tinubu, Otumba Bashiru Lebiosu, and so on and so forth. Alhaji S.A. Seriki, Ashiwaji Olorofumi Bashorun, and of course Prince Rabi Oluwa, and so on. So it's a mixture of Christians and Muslims. But another question I'd have liked to ask the Prof is, you know what, he's talking about 12 years of a Christian ticket as far as Lagos State is concerned. But Lagos State had 2 consecutive administrations, 8 years of Tinubu and 8 years of Fashola, making 16 years. That's more than 12 years by my maths, if I'm not mistaken. But hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to him tomorrow. That's how much you can take, and that's the size of the show right here on Plus Politics. My name is Kofi Bertels. Sincere apologies to you if you're watching and you were also offended by the question, and no offense intended. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for your time.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Reading is an essential habit and a culture that must be developed. Nigerians are generally believed to have a poor reading culture. The role of government in promoting reading and equipping reading spaces and libraries in Nigeria cannot be underestimated. But first, we must look at the development of reading habits from the home and the role parents play in encouraging their children.
My parents, my mom used to be a teacher, so reading was obviously part of a curriculum. And then my father used to be a professor and is an author. So I started reading very, very early, and I started reading books that were higher than my age grade. I was reading African Writers series.